Bro, my wife is a go-getter. My wife does real estate and she just grinds and she tells me, baby, give me 200,000, I'll bring you 290 back.
What's up, everybody? This is Isaac on the Lapo. You are now looking at Lapo's Logic. Today, I want to kind of break down what I've seen on social media making the rounds today or yesterday, whenever it was. But it was essentially Chad Johnson, I Am More Than an Athlete. They have a podcast. It's beautiful. I've been watching it for a couple of months. But I saw some things going around on social media about relationships, and I just kind of want to break that down and give you my thoughts on it.
That's old.
That is old, but but you can't tell me that's not what we saw from our fathers and our grandfathers.
Bro, we're the generation to break the mold of cook and clean. We are the generation to break the mold of cook and clean.
So, real quick, I mean, like, I don't know about your household, you know what I mean? But from the cooking and cleaning thing, that was never a part of the lexicon of the way I grew up. You know what I mean? Like, in the hood, I mean, there may be a couple of women in my neighborhood. I had a homeboy, his mama was a housewife, but for the most part, my aunties, my grannies, the people I was raised around, and most what I've seen in life is like black women was always about that cake. That was always about that paper. Here's why. A lot of times when you was growing up in the hood, there needs to be two sources of income. There wasn't a lot of men, if there were men around and not in prison, so the woman had to work. So I come from a long generations of women getting it out the mud, and for me, I've never wanted the housewife. You know what I mean? Because I've never seen that. If you're gonna be with me personally, this is how I was raised. This is just my energy. Hey, you better get to working. You know what I mean? Yeah, you better be building. Let's build together. That was my initial thoughts coming up into the world before I began to look for a wife at the time. We'll continue.
Bro, my wife is a go-getter. My wife does real estate and she just grinds and she tells me, baby, give me 200,000, I'll bring you 290 back. And this is bigger picture. That's what the black man needs to thrive for.
Okay, so real quick with that, I think it's really interesting. He said, you know, baby, if you give me 200,000, I'll bring 290,000 back. And I seen a lot of videos. I think it was Gucci Mane and his wife. I forgot what his wife was. He gave her like maybe $2 million and she bought back 4, whatever that was. I would just say this. That's good in theory, right? That's good in theory. However, I think the real world doesn't necessarily look like that for most men. You know, I think a lot of people, we see that clip and we like, yeah, that's what I want. But a lot of people, a lot of men ain't working with $200,000 to go give you to bring back 290. A lot of people ain't dealing with the $1 million that you could give your girl and she bring it back, right? If you're able to give 200,000 to somebody, right, statistically you've already arrived. Right? You're not building shit together. You've already got the mansion, the foundation is laid, the bricks is built up, the walls is turnkey, right? If you're giving somebody $290,000, you've done all the work, right? Same thing with Gucci Mane and his girl. If you're able to give your girl $1 million, you've already arrived. And so for me, the advice that I would give to young men is like, hey man, you have to I know that building stuff sounds great and all, but you want to be independent of women. You don't want to build anything with, I mean, it's good. You know, if you find a girl that's going to build with you and all that stuff, that's great. But you want to be able to build it by yourself, because relationships, it's all about power. It's a power dynamic, right? And these guys, I think a lot of them are in relationships. I think 3 of them are in relationships. But when you are a millionaire, there's a power dynamic. So your girl, she doing real estate, la 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 la. That's all good. That's gravy. She make 200,000, whatever, that's gravy, but you're still in a position of power. Hypergamy, in the way that women work, is usually that they date up. So they're trying to, their desire is to be with a millionaire. So her getting it out the mud is not in her getting it, and her making money and making $200,000. That's good for an average woman, but they're still on unequal playing grounds, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna end it right there. You know what I mean? I think this was really interesting. I think in conclusion, what I would say to, if I had a son, and what I'm saying to you is, hey, I think that you find a girl, you build a kingdom together. I think that sounds great, but in the real world, rarely does that happen. So I think that's more of a Disney movie, and we have to look at the reality of the situation. If you want a high quality female, most of the time, right, they want to come to the table when everything is set. Now, that's not always economics, right? These guys are very attractive, handsome, muscular, alpha males, dominant. So they could have talked to a plethora of women, right? Even before the money, even right now, right? Like just walking in the room, hearing these guys talk, you can see the energy and the confidence that they have, and they're handsome, right? So there's a level of authority that they have with that, straight up out the gate. But when you talk about women who are beautiful and economically empowered, right? A lot of times those women are only willing to talk to guys who make as much as them or on the same social economic level as they are. So I think it's kind of false. I think it's kind of not false, but I think it's misinformed for them to come at it, or for him to say like, hey, build, because you already built. You was already built, bro. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm gonna leave y'all with that, but tell me what y'all think. I'm interested in what y'all think about this. Like, subscribe, share this video, and I'm pretty excited. I got some things coming up, about to drop some clothing that y'all can purchase, that y'all can cop. So I love y'all. I'm out. Peace.
Eastside Garden Oaks, I was raised there.
You knew that you were the same people living in Oklahoma City as against those who were living in Chicago.
Invisible struggle, invisible pain, invisible heartache, invisible chains, invisible intellect, invisible slums, invisible smoke, invisible bombs, invisible kings from invisible lands. If I am invisible, can't stop an invisible man. If I am invisible, can't stop an invisible man. If I am invisible, can't stop an invisible man. Coming up, I didn't know the history. And this is not just a East Side Oklahoma City thing. This is a Black Oklahoma thing. I didn't know how many heroes that we had coming up. And when I read about the invisible struggle, it just touched me in my heart, because I understood Ralph Ellison. I understood his struggles. I understood what it was like to grow up in a world where people ignore, where you feel ignored, where you feel invisible, where you feel like you don't have an opinion, where you feel like people aren't paying attention to you, when you feel like people don't give a fuck about you or anything that you're doing, you're saying. They just see you as whatever they have inside their mind of who a Black person is. And so I understand Ralph Ellison's struggle. I understand where he's coming from. So I wanted to drop this line, this East Side legacy, in honor of people like Ralph Ellison, people like Clara Luper, our heroes, people like Dungy, people like Warren Moon, not Warren Moon, but Moon, what I'm talking about. So I wanted to honor the people who came from the East Side, and I want you to know, like, No matter where you come from, no matter your circumstances, you can overcome that. You know what I mean? Ralph Ellison is a literary giant, a giant. And he from the east side of Oklahoma City. You know what I mean? So if he could do that, you could do that. So, you know, y'all go, y'all cop it, y'all support it. I'm gonna be hitting y'all with some other designs for my East Side Legends clothing collection. So y'all be looking out for that. I'm so excited. This is the Christmas version. I'm coming out with something after that. So y'all go cop that, y'all support, and I look forward to bringing you more hot, dope East Side collection shirts, t-shirts, hats, all that stuff. I love y'all. Support. Peace. Yeah. Share this video. Share this shit. Peace, y'all.